Hello everyone, welcome to Anime No Me, and thank you for joining us for another One Piece video. With the end of the Wano arc, it was finally revealed what happened to the bounties of the rest of the Straw Hats, and they all managed to get a pretty big raise, becoming even more wanted worldwide, aside from the fact that they are now a part of a Yonko's crew. So in today's video, we're going to talk about the Straw Hats' new bounties, which enemies they faced during the Wano arc so they could earn those bounties, and how that bounty might affect the Straw Hats now in this last and final saga of One Piece. But before we start looking at all these bounty posters, if you're new to the channel or even if you've watched a bunch of our videos, we'd be absolutely honored if you'd leave us a like, or even consider subscribing and maybe leave us a comment letting us know what you thought of the video. It really helps us out and motivates us to make more content. And if you'd like to help out the channel in a bigger way, share your favorite video with a friend. But without further ado, let's get into these bounties. So my friends, during the Wano arc, we've seen that Luffy and the Straw Hats faced some very powerful enemies. And during the whole battle in Onigashima, they had to take down some of the most powerful pirates of Kaido's and really face dangers that they hadn't even seen so far. And besides that, they were able to defeat 2 Yonko in this same conflict. A week after the events on Onigashima, the bounty of all the Straw Hats, the Heart Pirates, Kid Pirates, and even the new crew called the Cross Guild, consisting of Buggy, Crocodile, and Mihawk that was created during the Wano arc, were all revealed to us. So to keep things simple, we're going to focus this video exclusively on the bounties of the Straw Hats. Now please remember that we don't have the exact value of some of the bounties of the other crews. So we're hoping that in future videos, we're going to be able to better inform you about how the other crews earned their bounties and what they did to earn them. So now that we've covered all that, let's talk about each Straw Hat and see what they did during the journey in Wano to get their bounty increased, and talk about how that bounty increase might affect their journey as we move forward into our next arc. So to start our discussion, we're going to go ahead and of course start at the top of the list, being our captain of the Straw Hat crew, Monkey D. Luffy. And his bounty had been revealed in the previous chapters, along with Law and Kid's bounty, and they really had a three-way split. Prior to the Wano arc, Luffy possessed a bounty of 1.5 billion berries. But after being able to defeat a Yonko Kaido, and also for helping out in the confrontation against Big Mom a few times, and also what he did on Whole Cake, Luffy is now able to obtain a bounty of 3 billion berries, and now possesses the 3rd largest bounty in the world, and also earned the title of Yonko. Moving on to our vice captain and Luffy's right-hand man, Roronoa Zoro. During the Onigashima conflicts, he was able to defeat Kaido's right-hand man known as King, the pirate who was inferior only to Kaido himself. During the Wano arc and also in the Battle of Onigashima, Zoro was able to defeat several of Kaido's lower pirates. However, his greatest achievement of course is gonna be defeating King, and being able to cut through Kaido's tough skin and opening up scars on the beast that had not been opened up since Odin put them on him. Zoro's previous bounty was 320 million berries, but with the end of the Wano arc, his current bounty is now 1.101 billion, being the second highest bounty among the Straw Hat crew members. Moving on to our helmsman. During the Wano arc, Jinbei faced off against some pretty powerful enemies of Kaido's crew as well, also helping out in several key moments, such as when Jinbei delayed Big Mom from reaching Kaido. However, Jinbei's greatest achievement was during his battle against Who's Who, a former member of CP0. And with the defeat of Who's Who, and for having helped his companions during this confrontation, and also let's remember that Jinbei was instrumental, along with our ninja friend, at spreading water all over the castle and kept everyone from burning alive. But with that said, Jinbei had a previous bounty of 438 million, but now has a bounty of 1.1 billion. Next, let's talk about Luffy's left hand, known as the cook of the crew, Vinsmoke Sanji. And just like his companions mentioned earlier, he was able to take down a lot of Kaido's pirate diversions that stood in their way. However, Sanji's biggest achievement was his victory after confronting Kaido's left hand, the pirate known as Queen. And like King, Queen was an incredibly powerful pirate, being one of Kaido's 3 pirate commanders. After taking down Queen, Sanji, who previously had a bounty of 330 million, now has a bounty of 1.032 billion, becoming the 4th most valued Straw Hat in terms of bounty. Moving on from the subject of culinary arts and into the subject of archaeology. Of course, when we bring up archaeology, we're talking about the Straw Hat, Nico Robin. Now in the arc of Wano, Robin didn't necessarily take on as many enemies as her fellows, because of course this is not her function within the crew. However, she did have some very notable fights throughout the Battle of Onigashima. One of the reasons why Robin didn't necessarily have the ability to take on as many battles is that she spent most of the time of the arc running away from the pirates of Kaido and also those CP0 members who had the objective of capturing her. But despite these dangers, she still tried to help her companions whenever she could, and at times she even took on the danger herself. And this was the case that we saw when Kaido's pirate Black Maria tried to capture Nico Robin. Robin had no choice but to confront her, with all the power she possessed and defeated her with a powerful new technique, the Demonio Fleur, an amazing technique that combined Nico Robin's flower fruit power with Haki. And we got a little glimpse of how she learned this during the time skip when she was embedded with the revolutionaries. Now, because of these achievements, Nico Robin once had a bounty of 130 million, and that was pretty high, and for oftentimes, she sometimes had the highest bounty of all the Straw Hats because she is that singular survivor of the O'Hara incident. But now, Robin has a bounty of 939 million, making her the 5th highest bountied Straw Hat. Moving on to our sniper and sniper king of the Straw Hats, Usopp. Unlike his companions, who really went hand to hand and head first into the battle, Usopp really served much more as a support during this arc. But we don't want to downplay Usopp's role, because with Tama's fruit power, we could not have turned so many Smile users to our side had it not been for all of Usopp's great shots. Now, we haven't seen any real special achievements beyond that, and nor did he really defeat any major player of Kaido's crew. But again, he was absolutely essential and clutch for the Straw Hats and their allies in order to defeat Kaido. So our Soge King, our Sniper King, and Marksman previously had a bounty of 200 million berries. But now that he's a part of a Yonko's crew, his bounty has increased considerably and now is worth 500 million berries. Moving on to our shipwright, also known as the Cyborg Frankie. Like Usopp and some of the others, he maybe didn't get as much shine as other characters did in the Wano arc, but he did have some really big moments, including knocking out Big Mom with his motorcycle, and also a really great fight that he had with Sasaki. But despite all that, we know that he wasn't one of the headlining battles that we might have seen elsewhere in the battlescape. But still, without Frankie's help, there were many moments that may have gone a very different way had he not been there to help. For example, helping Nico Robin escape from the enemies that had the objective to capture her, besides, again, like I just said, knocking out Big Mom temporarily, which allowed the Straw Hats to gain some time to go and confront Kaido alone. Prior to the Wano arc, Frankie had a bounty of 94 million berries. But after becoming a Yonko crew member, and of course, being the person who built the Yonko's ship, his bounty has been increased greatly, and now has a bounty on his head of 394 million berries. Next, let's talk about the musician of our crew, also known as Brook. Now, again, like Usopp and Frankie, he didn't necessarily take on any real significant people in Kaido's crew, and really throughout the Wano arc, really didn't get a lot of prominence at all. So aside from kind of going around and scaring people and doing his yo-ho-ho thing, Brook was just seen in a few moments helping his companions during the battle at Onigashima. Now, previously he had had a bounty of 83 million, but with the end of the Wano arc, Brook now has a bounty of 383 million. And like the others mentioned before, his bounty increased because he is now a member of a Yonko's crew. Next, let's take a moment to talk about the navigator of the Straw Hats, Nami, who again may have had little involvement in the confrontation in Onigashima, as she was much more concerned with her relationship with Zeus, and really avoided entering the battle so she had the time to convince Zeus to join her. Nami took on some powerful enemies. I mean, think about how she kind of tangled with Page 1 and especially Ulti, but ultimately she didn't end up defeating them, just really delaying them briefly for some goal of her own. Because as we said, she really again was interested in getting Zeus back after she was being chased by Big Mom. But although Nami maybe had little participation in the battle overall, she was able to evolve her skills with the weather, becoming all the more powerful so that in the future, she may really become one of the stronger fighters on the crew. And also, I think it should be mentioned the fact that, just like I said with Usopp, Nami was absolutely key in evolving that plan with Tama to get all of those Smile users to flip and join the Samurai Mink Pirate Alliance, or at least fight on their side. Before the Wano arc, Nami had a bounty of 66 million, but after she was able to help her companions defeat Kaido and save Wano, her bounty has been increased to 366 million. And finally, let's talk about the crew doctor, Tony Chopper. Now, he didn't have so much relevance during this arc as a frontline combatant, where he only defeated some weaker enemies, but Chopper was absolutely the key person in helping to heal the wounded on both sides of the fight when it came to the Isoni virus. Because of his commitment to being a doctor and wanting to heal everybody, whether it's friend or foe. Chopper focused all his efforts on being able to heal the wounded around him, and he tried to mitigate the loss of life wherever he could. Because Chopper is considered the pet of the Straw Hats, Chopper bounty is really low. His old bounty, of course, was 100 berries. And even after participating in the greatest battle and being a pirate and curing countless people of a virus that there was no at least real widespread cure for, he still hasn't been recognized by the world government as a pirate. So it's for these reasons that Chopper only gained the smallest increase in bounty, having now a simple 1,000 berry bounty on his head. Something that's not only just disrespectful to our ship's doctor, but also is a really small amount compared to the actual danger he presents to the world. Because Chopper wants to be somebody. His dream is to be able to heal any illness, which means if one can heal any illness, one can create any illness. And so again, you've heard us in probably other videos saying, Chopper didn't necessarily get the love that he needed, but it also means that the world government isn't tracking him down, because Chopper really is one of the most valuable members of the crew. But with all that said, my friends, these are all the bounties presented for the Straw Hats, and each one obtained a bounty equivalent to their feats in Wano. Now, some obtained a bounty so big they're even really quite close to the bounty Luffy earned. But of course, this is not the end. I mean, the Straw Hats will still have opportunities to increase their bounties even more in this final saga of One Piece, because once they get that final treasure and they make it to Laugh Tale and all the other things that are still left to finish in this story, they're gonna get possibly the greatest bounties in the world, because they will be a part of the crew of the King of the Pirates. And in this way, Luffy will end up surpassing the bounty of Gold D. Roger, so that he is recognized worldwide as the greatest pirate to have ever lived, surpassing the pirate he was even inspired by. And one of the most exciting things about all this, even with the bittersweet thought that One Piece may really be coming to an end, is the fact that the goal of our Straw Hat crew is all the closer to coming to realization. I mean, there are still plenty of dangers as they remain alive. And with this final stretch of One Piece, we're gonna see so many important events happen. And we're gonna see now the pirates going after the greatest treasure in the world and potentially bringing that new dawn. And speaking of some of those dangers that are lurking out there in the shadows, we haven't heard about Teach in a very long time, and he's been keeping his actions hidden, which means that he could be out to cause some very big problems for Luffy in the future, possibly preventing him from achieving his great goal. But ultimately, it's going to be through these powerful enemies that the Straw Hats will face that they will be able to increase their bounties and notoriety all the more, slowly and carefully and incrementally surpassing the bounty of the most famous pirates in the world, until the time comes when they are considered and recognized as the crew with the largest bounty in the world and greatest group of pirates to have ever existed. But now, I'd love to know what you think about it. What do you think about the bounties? And do you think there's any rhyme or reason? And what do you think about the Zoro versus Sanji thing? Secondly, I just want to revisit Chopper. Do you think that's kind of a good thing that the world government kept it so low, so they're really not going after someone who is potentially one of the greatest doctors on the planet? Or is it like, you know, I'm saying, potentially a slap in the face? And third, as we're moving ahead in this arc, what do you think the next big danger for our crew is going to be? Do you think it's going to be bounty hunters or Teach or something we haven't thought about? Let us know what you think in the comments below. So as we wrap up our video today, I want to thank you all so much for watching the video all the way up to the very end. Be sure you comment on any themes or ideas that you'd like to see in future videos. And also, since you made it this far, give us a like or hit that red subscribe button before you head out to take on the rest of your day. I hope to see you all in our next video, and let's keep sailing this giant sea together. Take care.